we go. Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Ralitza Spasova, and today we are joined by Alyssa van Alstyne, a true medical marvel. She's also my a student that graduated co, what's the right word to use? Certified Mastery Method Coach. There you go. It came through. And we both studied through the Institute for Coaching Mastery with Alyssa Nobriga, and we became certified mastery method coaches. And this process and this path has been so blissfully inspiring. Alyssa is also a wife and mother, a life and business coach, a motivational speaker. She's a leadership development coach, holistic health advocate, and she's here today to share her story and her journey and her authenticity calling process into healing and wellness and coaching and all the things. And Alyssa, I'm just so amazed. You were just sharing with me before we started the podcast about sort of your medical journey, and as a physician and as somebody who is such a strong advocate for not ignoring how much spirit plays in our health, because we are ignorant at best in Western medicine. I'm just so excited to have you here today. Thank you for taking the time to join and to share your story. And I'm just like, my jaw was on the floor as you were sharing. Cannot wait to get into all of the things. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here.
Oh, it's such an honor, Ralitza. And we are live and I'm excited. And just for whoever hears this, it's just following what's in your body, following what's in your life, and just knowing that you're here for a reason. And things do happen, and you know your body, and there's healing. Your body's a healing machine.
Yes.
That's what it knows. And it's so powerful beyond belief.
Yes, 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 yes to all of it. Oh, that is absolutely true. Alyssa, how did you, first of all, I mean, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your story, kind of just to bring the audience full circle in terms of maybe where you started from in your symptoms and
Mhm.
in sort of the issues you were having, and then the diagnosis, and then how did you go from the diagnosis to actually realizing that there's got to be more to it? Like, how did you even end up in coaching? Where did you, career-wise, where did you come from and how did you end up as a coach?
Career-wise, okay, we're jumping back a little.
Yes.
So career-wise, my original, like out of high school, I was top academically, top athlete. I
Mm.
wanted to go into medicine. I wanted to go into surgery because I thought that was super exciting and I love the human body, and okay, I wanted to see inside of it because I was just so curious about the human body. Um, didn't go that route, ended up going into kinesiology, athletic therapy, was going to go into fitness modeling, personal training. Right around that time, though, is when I had a slip and fall in 2010. Um, at my place of work, I was in the restaurant supplementing while I was in university. And it should have been simple. And life has this beautiful way of just kind of surprising us. But it was just a minor concussion. My head didn't contact, so it was like a whiplash concussion, kind of fell a little funky. And then later, I remember later that day in that shift, because I kept working, of course, right? You go upstairs, you cry, you keep working.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
push through,
Push through.
right?
Yeah,
Push
yeah, of
through.
course. Like a
And
good mom.
I remember every single joint in my body hurt.
Oof.
Everything hurt so bad. I had to call my boyfriend at the time then to help me walk out because I couldn't.
Wow.
And then from there, over the next few months, I went to the hospital, went to the doctor, and it was just things just kept getting worse. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't remember things, and I had a really good memory. Like I didn't need to write down any orders whatsoever. I had to write down everything as soon as someone said it. Otherwise, it was gone.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's
gone. I lost everything social about me. I had trouble with all my senses. I couldn't speak properly. My vision was wonky. My smell was wonky. I don't know if I could hear properly. So there was a lot going on.
mhm.
Um, but pushing through, right? Doctor saying, well, you're young, you're healthy. It's gonna get
How old
better.
were you? Sorry to interrupt.
I was 23,
Okay.
4.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I am now, so
Okay.
I
Neither do I.
might have
I
better
stopped
than
counting
you.
after 31. My champagne birthday was the last number
Yeah.
I need to remember.
Yeah, so things got worse. They got progressively worse until 2015. I flew to Germany for spinal surgery. I had degenerative disc disease, so there were moments where I remember I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't get up physically, and I had such extreme pain in my back and in my body that I didn't know what else to do. And where I am right now, I'm in Manitoba, Canada. So I was too young and too healthy otherwise to have anything done. So thankful for that. But at the same time, I flew to Germany because the prosthesis that they were implanting was what they used on their professional athletes, which is in line with kind of, okay, yes, I want to function. I want to achieve. I want to go back to sports.
Yes.
So going to that, having that done, and the care out there is so good and so beautiful that it was an amazing experience. And then coming back and making a career shift, I switched into insurance sales from the restaurant business and really excelled in the career for about 6 months. Everything was great. I was back working out. It was just easy.
Yeah.
And then my health started going again. And there was a buildup. There was also anxiety with that and lots of cognitive function and lots of brain fog. And so I also had a diagnosis earlier on from fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome, kind of all the things that are very widely put on when the doctors don't quite know what's going on, right?
Yeah. Those idiopathic. What does that even mean? Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't know. We don't know. We don't know anything
exactly.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so also acknowledging too the women physiology just being something that's newly being studied,
That's right.
right? So really honoring that and acknowledging that too in this process, that women are very different from males in their physiology, in their function, and in their hormones. So
Yeah. And we're saying this because most studies in medicine are from the army, from young men that had great health, that 120/80. That is not the regular baseline blood pressure for women, actually. It's closer to 100/60, but we use 120/80. Yeah, because that came from the army. Yeah.
yeah, and even sleep studies, right?
That's right.
7 to 8 hours, and that's not optimal for a woman, not at all. And I was always told when I was younger, oh, you're sleeping too much, because I was optimal at 9.5 to 10 hours. And I
Interesting. I'm
knew
the
that.
opposite. That's so interesting because I'm the
Oh,
opposite.
yeah.
Less sleep, actually, but it's
Oh,
very different and unique. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so cool. And so to pedal back a little, yeah, coming out of that, I was great until things started getting worse again.
Yeah.
And I just got this blanket put over everything. Well, you have fibro. And in the meantime, too, I was having moments of paralysis and extreme pain.
Yeah.
But then I also got pregnant or married and pregnant. And that was in 2019. I got pregnant 2018, sorry, in fall. And then, of course, my symptoms elevated. So then it was because of pregnancy that I was having everything. So much of a blessing there. And I also, the way that I walked into it is also the little bit of research, the reading up that I've done is that how powerful pregnancy is for healing the body.
That's right.
So that's what I took from that. And every day I would say, I'm healing, my baby's healing me.
Yes.
And so that was my mentality, which I think really helped
Yeah.
with the process. But we can only go so far, right? If there's something else in there. So still seeing lots of specialists and going forward from there and just getting worse. Still, my mindset was there. In my mind, I was healing. There was a disconnect from my body. So moving forward from there, had my child, my firstborn in 2019 in March, and then was good for a little, but then started getting worse again. And I needed help. I couldn't actually even leave my apartment. We had to downsize to an apartment at that time because I couldn't keep a house. So, and I was on disability. So where was I? Sorry, I couldn't leave the house. We talk about in the fibromyalgia and the chronic pain, fatigue community, like how many spoons of energy do you have? How many hours of energy? And I was a few hours a week that I could do something other than just sit there or really basic.
Wow.
So it was an event for me to even go to the grocery store for 30, 40 minutes to go pick up a few things. That was my outing for the week.
Yeah.
And then I was spent.
Yeah.
And that on taking care of a baby as well. I remember I got a lot of help from my mom at the time too. She would drive in and out to the city and help out, and so grateful for that. And then finding out too, I was pregnant with my second a little later on. And just around that time is when I was experiencing a growth in my stomach. So it got diagnosed as ovarian cysts.
While you were pregnant.
Yeah. So they left it in. They
Wow.
said, we're not doing anything. They're harmless. Most people get them.
Yeah.
So they left them in till about 5 months after my second was born. So I guess that's about 15 months after they had discovered it. But that's where I knew that's where the pain was. That's where the answer was.
Mhm.
I was like, I just want it out. Whatever it is, I just want it out.
Yeah.
So, and also things got so much worse, like extreme on a pain on a regular basis. I couldn't hold my baby. I couldn't roll over in bed to get to her. I always had to have help. We moved to a house that was 5 minutes away from my mom's because she was here every day.
Yeah.
I needed her help to carry, to transfer, she gave me her when she needed to breastfeed, and then she took her. I needed help for her, absolutely everything.
Wow.
So making the best of it, but also kind of heartbroken at the same time that I couldn't be there for my kids the way that I wanted to.
Yeah.
So lots wrapped up in that.
Yeah.
And then from that point, after the 5 months, I went in to see my doctor about this ovarian cysts. And I remember I got into the office and she said, well, first of all, the hospitals are not letting us do any surgeries unless they're really urgent. So just want to let you know that ahead of time. In 2 minutes, she looked at me. She's like, I need to go make a call. 3 days later, I was booked for surgery to have it removed.
Wow.
And I went in and I was so just excited. I'm just like, finally. And I remember waking up from that surgery and I looked at the nurse beside me. I'm like, did you get it all? Like a little cheeky, a little goofy.
Yeah.
That's me. And she looked at me, she said, no, sweetie, it's still in there. And I was so confused. I was like, what?
Goodness.
I was being silly. What?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then though it came out, oh no, it's coming from your spine, it's coming from your prosthesis, it's infected. It's been infected since 2015, and now we're in 2021 in the fall. So I was relieved. I was relieved beyond belief because there was a reason for all my pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It was caused by that thing.
yeah,
Yes.
it was huge. It was the size of a water pitcher. That's kind of how they described it with me without giving dimensions again. And they drained it right away. And I was like, relief, beyond like just relief. But the next few months were interesting. My surgery to have it removed. I had to see neurosurgeons, neurologists. I had about 6 or 7 different teams coming to visit me, and all the infectious disease doctors in Winnipeg. They came to visit me because they were just like, this isn't, well, we haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
So kind of fun. I like mystery. I like figuring things out. And I was feeling better too. And I got to stay in the hospital, which as a mom of two, that's sometimes almost like a break.
A little
Like
relief.
if we take the
Yeah.
circumstances away, it's like, oh, I'm in this hotel room. Everyone's
Yeah.
coming to see me.
We get creative with our vision. Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, just really love that we were finally trying to figure it out. And we
Yeah.
finally knew. Like
Wow. What a
yeah,
relief, hey?
it was such a relief. And it was interesting on the other side of things because I think my family back home, when they got it, they were like, they thought I was gonna die.
Mm.
And there was like a lot of family drama behind that, which we don't have to go into. We
Yeah.
can, but we don't have to.
Yeah.
Um,
That's another podcast.
yeah, Could be. Um, so yeah, so resulting from that, it was my original surgery was done out of country.
Yeah.
So coming back, it had to be the FDA Canadian approved, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So the procedures were not normal for here. So my surgeon had to do his research and learn how to use these new tools and have them shipped in. So there was a bit of a wait before I could actually go to have it fixed. So getting that prosthesis removed, fusing my spine, getting it washed out, and also being on IV medication. So I had a PICC line in,
Mm.
which my kids loved. And we got to go for appointments every day to the clinic so I could get my IV medication and antibiotics. And yeah, just keeping it as light as possible, even though it was not the best situation, but like things were moving forward.
Mm.
So I still remember my mindset, and people were sometimes looking at me, they're like, why are you so happy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I've been in pain for like 6 years plus.
Yeah.
Like and now we know why.
Yeah.
And so let the healing begin, right? And it's
Yes.
already feeling so much better just with the relief of the pressure from the draining. And they actually wanted to keep me, I had to go back in because after they drained it, it refilled very fast.
Mm.
So I had to go back into the ER, and then they transferred me to one of the major hospitals in the meantime, and they hooked me up to everything again and put a drain tube in, and they were saying, well, we'll keep you here until your surgery. So it was 2 weeks away at that point. And I said, can I just take the bag and go home? Like I have to go to a clinic every day anyway for IV treatment. And the doctor said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the kids got to help me drain. Yeah, we don't have to go into that.
Yeah.
But it was like I had this bag attached to me
Yeah.
and all these tubes, and I took a picture of it because it's super fun
Yeah.
for me.
Okay. The one who wanted to go into
Like, you
healthcare.
remember this?
Yes, of course.
So yeah, really big adventures with my health. And then I don't think we talked about this on here, but after I had my surgery and everything, they transferred me back to my local hospital. And a day later, the growth, it was growing again. So this was after the surgery, after everything had been cleaned out. So then I waited another 24 hours to get transferred back to the major hospital where they'd done the surgery. And then it took 2 or 3 days until they could do imaging again to check on it. And I remember my doctor came with the news, and he said, we don't know what's happening, but it's going down. So take this as a miracle because we don't know. I said,
Mm.
yeah, I will.
Wow.
Total miracle.
Yeah.
So lots of healing since then. And that's actually what's your question from before, getting me into the coaching industry, getting me in. And it didn't start with coaching. It started with, I want to share my story
Yeah.
because I know what it's like to be in the depths and
Yeah.
find a way out.
That is not common. Let me just preface the rest of this conversation. It is very uncommon and it's very new. And that's why I think you're uniquely positioned to support people. And I don't know if you focus on fibromyalgia or chronic pain or any of that. I actually coach for Pain BC as a volunteer for chronic
Okay.
pain. And I have been spinning my wheels about
Mhm.
what is the right methodology to support these people because I know a lot of it, and we'll talk about this probably, but a lot
Yeah.
of it goes back to those like childhood moments, those experiences. And so many times it comes up in coaching. We're given specific tools through Pain BC, but being a mastery method coach, I know there's got to be another way. And I feel like you are that answer. And there is not a coincidence that Pain BC coaching got paused and we're having this conversation now. I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
be paired with my next new client shortly.
Yeah.
But this is just fascinating because most people get the diagnosis of fibromyalgia and they get to go home with it for the rest of their lives, or chronic pain, or whatever that thing is that idiopathic, we don't know how to fix it. We don't know where it came from. We don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So spirit has brought you to heal so many people, and thank you for this experience and for sharing it. And how did this happen to you? Go on. Like, I'm just like, yeah, yes, yeah,
Keep going. Keep
keep
going.
going.
Because there's more. There's
There's so
more.
much more. Oh, I know. I had to preface that because
Yes.
there's just so many people that are here, right
Yeah.
here in this story, this is where it ends for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually, I went into different specialists too about fibromyalgia and all that. And they said, well, keep exercising and eat better. And I said, I am optimal in the way that I live, in the way that I do things. It is the basis of what I do. Give me something different,
Yeah. Tell me
right?
something else. Tell me something I haven't tried.
Tell me something different, because
Yeah.
I'm doing that and it's getting worse, right?
Yeah.
So just to follow up on that point too, I went in, is it a rheumatologist?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. 6 months, 7 months after that surgery, I went in to see a rheumatologist, and I had my diagnosis lifted of fibromyalgia and chronic pain and chronic fatigue. They lifted it.
Okay.
They said, no, that doesn't apply to you anymore. I said, okay, thank you, because having that on my medical sheet really prevented a doctor from actually seeing me and seeing my present condition and seeing my symptoms and actually paying any attention. So, and I see the breath and I feel it. I feel it, because that's a pretty big talking point there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like 10 podcasts on its own. So many people. Yeah.
Yes.
This is
So,
a challenge for so many people. Yeah.
yeah. So really, just to speak to that, just a short snippet is, when we have fibro, when we have these chronic pain symptoms, we know that it's not for, like, there's this sense inside you that, no, something's not right. I just need someone to listen to me
Yeah.
and take me seriously instead of brush me off.
Yeah.
And I just want to speak to that for whoever's listening, whoever needs to hear it. It's just, I see you and we see you. And there are people who do want to help, who can see past the diagnosis, who want to really explore and really help elevate you back to where you want to be in your life.
Yeah. And I'm going to speak to the physicians out there that are hearing this that are actually really frustrated because they don't know what to do, because they do have these patients, because it's not in our medical education. It's not in the system right now. It's not in, the way that we are taught to help and heal people. Unfortunately, none of this information's in there. So I just want to gracefully receive the physicians as well in this space to say, it's not your fault. And if you're feeling frustrated and if you're listening to this and if you're like, okay, so tell me, how do we do this? This is phase 2 of your medical education. I used to teach medical school, and I actually, one of the sections that I did worst on was psych. And I actually was asked to teach psych as the first class because the teacher left, needed someone. And I thought, isn't this ironic? Dove into psychology and all of the ways that we misrepresent the human capacity in psychology, psychiatry, and the way that we treat people and the way that we diagnose them and dismiss them. And very similar to what you're, I think, about to share. It's just so different when you have this sense of spirituality. Like and going through my gene keys has been a massive awareness and coming to myself full circle of receiving and recognizing that I'm here to bring spirit to medicine. I'm here to bring spirit into our understanding of how things work, into community, into conscious leadership, into all of these things. And we can't be tone deaf to it anymore. Like, we need to wake up and recognize that there's so much more to health and healing and vitality than what we've been taught. And it's okay. And it's not anybody's fault that studied this and that is a practitioner in this way that they've learned. And let's open our minds to learning something a little bit different.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. It's like, yes, and right. Like, yes, we learned a certain way.
Yes.
And we can adapt and we can learn more and we can change the way that the system is.
Yes.
The system of healing and health versus just treating sickness.
Yeah. I call it disease maintenance, basically, is what
Yeah.
we're doing, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So also, like, just being realistic about it too, right? Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with what's happened so far.
That's right.
We're all doing the best that we can. And that was a big release point for me too, is going through this in this process too. Lots of people around me, they were like, well, sue the doctors and you should make a case and all this stuff, right? And I think I pursued it for maybe a few days. And then I was like, they did the best they could,
Right.
right?
Yes.
This has been in me. Nobody knew about it. I'm still super high functioning in my mind, right? I'm still a cheerful person, like, and I did the best that I could, right?
Yeah.
Because there's these parts too that are like, well, you could have pushed harder, right? And we all have that. We could have pushed harder. You could have said something. You could have done something, right?
Yeah.
But no, like I did what I had the capacity for.
That's right.
And I did the most that I could, and I did the best that I could.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's a
really
common theme. It's a
allowing them.
common that what you just said is a common theme and thread of the week, I think, is they did the best they could. We did the best we could. I did the best I could. And moving on from here, what else can we presence? What else can we do? How can we evolve? How can we embrace? How can we, again, the shaming, the blaming, the guilting, it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
And let's leave that in the past and
Yeah.
let's evolve into this, conscious space of curiosity and unconditional love and acceptance and radical acceptance that we may not know actually all the answers. And I'm so curious to know what you learned after that.
Oh boy. There was one moment that stood out for me because I was moving forward. I'd started working out again. And but then I hit a plateau and I realized it was me. I was so scared to get better at that point.
Mm.
After all this healing, after going through all these treatments and finally having an answer. And I had to really slow down. And this was trying to think, this was the year before ICM, before the course that we were in together. And I actually slowed down and I said, do I actually want to get better?
Mm.
I'm scared to get better. What is that? Why am I scared to get my health back?
Yeah, it's like that upper limit. Yeah.
Yeah, big time, big time. And it was just, there was so much fear of, well, then I'll have to go out in public again. I haven't been out in public. I'm so scared. I had lots of vagus nerve issues. So with senses, like smell, really like it made me sick.
Wow.
Like any kind of scent. And just being around people so overstimulating for the longest time. And then I'd have to get a job. Then I'd have to be responsible for money. Then I'd have to go out with the kids and like the kids, they'll run away on me. And what if I can't catch them? What if I can't be there for them? There were so many fears wrapped up in that. So I really had to presence it. And just for me, it was, yes, I'm healing. Yes, those things can come up,
Yeah.
but I'm going to be at a different place
Yeah.
physically and mentally when they do come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to be like I was for the last few years because I'm healing.
That's right.
So there was a lot of just deep breaths
Yeah.
and really coming back to I'm healing and I want to.
Yeah.
And I want the challenge again, right? I was so scared for so long because I couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted it.
I
Yeah.
just want to honor so much that capacity of yours to catch that thought, to catch that fear and to presence it. Because I think a lot of times, I mean, we weren't raised with the skill, right? We should have been taught this in kindergarten. Unfortunately, we weren't. We can learn now, we can pass it on to our children. But just to presence the fear and to listen to the story and to question, to get curious with what's that all about, rather than accepting it as what it is and choosing to stay in the disease state instead of healing, because unconsciously that's what we're doing. That fear is there. So we actually commit to our suffering, which is like truth bomb.
Yeah, it's mind blowing,
Don't
right?
talk about it this way. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah, because for the longest time, like that was your comfort zone, being sick. Right? So that's safe, right? Our ego, ourselves, we see that as safe.
Yeah.
And we go into this, right, in the work that we do, but really allowing yourself to see beyond that. Yeah. So I love that you plug that. That's so beautiful and so on point. And yeah, the story gets better. So so also in feeling a little bit later and feeling that a month or two after having that internal dialogue with myself and really, really choosing that, yes, I want to get better, we had a little twist in the plot. And to this day, I still do not know how it was possible. I got pregnant 6 months after major surgery, spinal surgery, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I still don't know how. Like I know how. But it
Well, we can go
shouldn't
back to the birds and the
happen.
bees.
There was nothing within the window that said that that should have happened.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my husband, I took probably 5 tests. I've never done that before. I'm just like, I guess it's real. And I remember just like falling down into the kitchen and just like, what do we do? Like, how is my body going to be able to handle this?
Yeah.
And he just says, well, we're gonna have the baby.
Yeah.
Like, and there's just such a relief in me because I was like, oh no, what if I can't, right? Like, what if we have to do something? And just having him there and just, well, yeah, we're gonna have it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, phew. And then it was back to my old kind of programming came up, and it's like, oh, this is another opportunity for my body to heal.
Yes.
This is another healing moment coming forward through this being. And it wasn't fun. It was completely different than other pregnancies, but I had a girl again, and I get really sick with female pregnancies.
The
So,
hormones. Yeah. The
yeah,
hormones.
the hormones, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And so that was the year before, so still going through that. And at the end of that year, now this is where I was starting to invest in different courses, okay, how do I get this message out there that I want to do, like that I want to share, that I want to speak into people's lives? And I was thinking through course creation, and then it was like, well, what's my role?
Mm.
And through going all these, like I wrote out so much stuff about who I wanted to serve and how, and the transformational piece. And a lady that I was who was my mentor at the time, she said, well, that sounds like a confidence coach or a life coach.
Mm.
So I started Googling confidence coach. And at that time, that's when Alyssa Nobriga, her confidence coach challenge was happening.
Wow.
I clicked on that,
Yeah.
and I knew within an instant, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
This is her. She's the one. Yep.
So committed to the program.
Yeah.
Had my baby January 2nd, started the program just after that.
Yeah.
So I had my baby as everyone saw on me as we went through the program that year. And that year was a roller coaster, because that year as well, I was had a kind of a put off diagnosis. I had Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism that really, like, I was fainting, like blacking out as I was walking, and I was eating about 4,000 plus calories a day and still losing like 4 pounds, 5 pounds a month.
Yeah.
And my doctor, for the first time I went in, when he said he wasn't going to do any testing, that we just wait and see, that was the popular line for me and my doctor, we'll wait and see. I totally forget what I was going to say.
That's okay. It'll come back.
Yeah, so things were just tough. And then I thought I was pregnant again. I was convinced I was pregnant again. All the tests were negative, but I was having symptoms like crazy that I was pregnant, and went in and they were like, well, we'll put you on antibiotics. We'll just do something because it could be an infection. I said, no, hormonally, something's going on in my body. So all the tests for infection came back negative. And oh, right, I remember my doctor said, well, it's because you have a healthy pregnancy now. Like your postpartum is healthy, so this is probably normal, and your other ones were abnormal.
Got it.
I said, no, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
So really, and the program really helped with really trusting and tuning into my body for what I know is true.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that really helped me speak up and go back to the doctor. And I said, can we just do a full panel, please? Like, something's wrong. Because now at this point too, my resting heart rate was 110, and it was going like all the time. And it was worse at night, and it just didn't feel good. And that, between passing out during the day and eating everything in sight and still feeling starving, I felt like I had a a hole in my stomach, and there was such a deep ache there.
Wow.
Like nothing is sticking. So went in, he called me the morning right after I had my blood test. He said, okay, so you have hyperthyroidism, you have Graves' disease. We're just going to confirm that with an extra test. My TSH levels were less than 0.01, and my T3, T4s were 5 and 6 times the normal, like the high of the normal ranges. So yes, finally an explanation, right?
Another,
Yeah.
yes.
And it was like, yes, Kate, thank you for me for pushing. And now at the same time, I said, I want to do this different. I don't want to be on medication, because they said, okay, at least 2 years
Yeah.
to be on medication. I said, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I had an appointment with a naturopathic doctor as well.
Yeah.
And we explored my whole life. We explored stress. We explored the last surgeries. We explored everything.
Yeah.
And settled on just a simple supplement to kind of take care of my gut, because it had been destroyed by my antibiotic cycle.
Yeah.
So supporting that, and then supporting my mitochondrial for energy. And then really I have a lemon balm tea every day, because that helps calm the thyroid. So that was what I did alongside my medication, and my numbers slowly went up. And then in January, slowly went down. My T3, T4 went down to normal range. It took about 2 months to steady those, still with medication and those other ones. And then in January, I told my doctor, my endocrinologist, that, okay, I'm having these wild symptoms still, but they're not thyroid related. So I told him about them, and it was this disconnect between my body. It was still my heart pounding. It was almost as if like I couldn't see, but I could see. Like there was strange stuff going on, and still like an inability to concentrate. And I said, from what I've looked into, this is my vagus nerve. And he said, well, keep doing what you're doing. We'll see you in 6 months. And I said, no, I'm going to tend to my vagus nerve. So after I started doing just a simple at-home stuff, so like humming, gargling, icing my face and the back of my neck, different stretching, different breathing techniques, that's when my TSH levels finally started to rise back to normal,
Wow.
just with tending to my vagus nerve. So then after that, I kind of went on and off medication for about 2 months, because I still needed it. I wanted to be off it, but I needed it still. And then came the coaching session, that I was receiving coaching from a fellow coach. And we went to this beautiful place of just finding such a deep sense of safety to myself. And it was also in the realm of how hard it was for me to receive. That's what the original.
Oh, wait a second. This is like
Yeah.
all the women out there.
Yeah. So that was the basis of the story, because I couldn't receive, and all the stories around that, and then sourcing safety and breathing into it. And after that session, I didn't take my medication after that session. I haven't since. And my levels, my TSH are still rising. My T3, T4 are still right in the middle where they should be. So just showing too, like, yes, using medicine and stuff to support, and knowing that, yes, trusting your bodies, there's other ways to heal. And lots of it too is sourced from our inner experience, from our past experience, from going back to childhood, from really allowing ourselves to heal inwardly what we had been holding on to and pushing down and just saying no to for so long.
Yes. To me, this whole journey, this is the mind, body, spirit conundrum that I think most diagnoses don't touch on. And it's exactly what you said. In my perspective, it's yes and. But until we can speak that language of the mind, body, and spirit and its contribution, like it's almost like, okay, how is this serving you? How is this happening for you?
Yeah.
If we're to kind of zoom out and take a look back, and I'll ask spirit if you don't mind opening to speak through that, but
yeah,
what was the purpose of this journey for you?
It comes it's so forward. It's to find myself and to be myself and to know others so others can do the same thing.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things too. There's also I was raised very religiously, Christian Mennonite, very strict as well. And then coming through all of that too, there was a lot of blame, a lot of guilt tripping, a lot of shame in that, in the way that I was raised in that, and how to, through all of that, I'm also a 3 on the Enneagram.
Yeah.
Um,
So
and yeah. So also just like, I spent almost my whole life up until a few years ago, probably 2 years ago is when I started, but trying so hard to be something other than I was.
yeah.
And that was causing such a disconnect in my soul and in my body. And I think that was also the foundation for healing, is actually seeing myself and accepting myself and loving myself and just breathing into what's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what comes through when you say speak from spirit and what's there. And I think that's the biggest shift that anyone can make, is that I am worthy. I am enough just the way that I am. Nothing needs to change.
That's right. Nothing I do can make me any more worthy. So I
Yeah.
don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That's like mic drop, Alyssa. I told you, I'm going to call you mic drop, Alyssa. That is your name because, oh my, yes, 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 yes to all of it. And that is why this is the Authenticity Calling podcast. And that is why there's a book coming through me to bridge to bridge the medical world with the spiritual, to bridge this experience, this human experience with the greater good, to bridge that esoteric world that we call like far out there with what is happening, the shifts that are happening, the awakening that's happening, this lack of people don't have tolerance anymore with, as you just went through, we'll just wait and see. Like,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to wait and see anymore. No, I'm not going to receive your shaming, blaming, and guilting anymore. No, I'm not going to stay in this state of misalignment with my truth because evidence doesn't show that I'm right. I don't care what evidence shows. I know that inner knowing, that inner standing and interweaving,
Yeah.
and that calling forward and that space of, as you just said, compassion and grace and understanding that this is so new in our definitely in our Western world. But I think even to have this conversation is so permissive. It's like it gives permission to get curious. It gives permission to say, you know what, I don't know, but let's find out what could it be, to take an extra moment to ask, what do you think it is to patients, if there's physicians on here listening,
Yeah.
to as a patient to take that, that audacity to come back and say,
Yeah.
something's not quite right, because it is our personal responsibility in our sovereignty as human beings, as patients in the system. The system is here to serve patients. The system is also here to serve physicians.
Yeah.
And it's the responsibility of the physicians to say no so that they don't get to burnout. There's this, I'm in the
Yeah.
healthcare space where we're dealing a lot with physician burnout and obviously healthcare worker burnout. I mean, there's just not enough physical bodies, people doing the work.
Yeah.
So, we're taking on more and more and more and more. All the physicians are taking on more, all the nurses are taking on more. The system is trying to create a space to be able to help all the people that need the help.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it. Oh, I might regret this later, but I'm going to say it. And we're doing it in a way that is still quite limited because we're relying only on what we used to know. And I don't think we are open enough to questioning what else is possible and recognizing that it's a yes and. Like, we don't need to have a system that is built only on pharmacology. We're going to use medicine anyways. It's not going anywhere. We still need to put out the fire. Like, it's a calm down, big pharma. No one's trying to take you out. And there's so much more to healing and wellness than the way that we treat currently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to put a plug in there because I hear you're speaking from really the physician side. And I want to speak from the other side too. And really, we are our own best doctor. I'm going to put that out there because there's a knowing in yourself and a trusting in yourself. But also, I think one of the biggest things that shifted for me, and this was over the last few months, over the last 6 months or so, is actually me coming back to myself and actually accepting my responsibility for my health. And I think that was a big one because it was always, no, I'm going to let the doctor speak for me, or I'm going to let someone else know better, what's better for me.
Yeah.
So really coming back to that knowing, and I follow the commune membership site and Dr. Zach Bush and Dr. Mark Hyman along those lines too, and knowing too from a nutritional side of things too, right? Food is medicine. So
Absolutely.
just looking at the food system and even just doing a few changes. And I think what he says too, in 14 days, you can have a new life from what you're currently living. And I want to plug one study because
Yeah, please.
there's this beautiful study about and I don't remember complete details, but this lady took 14 elderly men. They were in their 70s and their 80s. They had walkers. They were on handfuls of medicine. She took them up to a monastery and she decorated everything as if it was back when they were teenagers. So the posters, the newspaper, whatever music was popular. And she told them, all you have to do this for the next 2 weeks is live like you were teenagers. From what you think to how you talk. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, I forget, someone came in and he witnessed these men playing tag or flag football. They were off the majority, if not all, of their medication, and they didn't need their walkers anymore.
Wow.
And I need to find the name of that study and
I would
who
love to
published it, but
post it here. Yeah.
yeah, so really, as we age too, there's this conditioned belief that as we age, our health has to decline.
That's right. And our mobility has to decline,
And
and we should start hurting all over, and we should
yeah,
become disabled in many ways, and we should start forgetting. And it's like all of these commitments that we have to aging, they're actually
yeah, it's not true. Your body is such a healing superpower. Like, it doesn't have to be that way, so just question it.
yeah.
What's another way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I believe this? Let me find the proof that it can be different.
Yes.
Instead of hating it because we're envious, right?
That's
Just
right.
tune into that part that says, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Really question it because there's a passion there that says, I want that.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. Alyssa, we like seriously, mic drop, Alyssa. I'm telling you, we obviously have to come back to this podcast and
I think so,
some more.
yes.
Do you have your own podcast? Are you starting one in the future?
No, not yet. I have a 1, 3, and 5-year-old,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
starting as a guest
You'd be fine.
is
Yeah.
my capacity right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I would love to. I absolutely love to go down any rabbit hole with you. I think there's so much wisdom, so much beauty, and so much grace and truth. You know, if there's one thing that I am here to highlight and support and encourage and get really curious about is for people to speak their truth, because that truth will resonate so far. Like that little drop in the ocean will heal so many people just from removing that veil of, I'm alone in this thought.
Mhm.
And it's not even, it's a truth. It's a deep, intimate truth that we are interwoven with so many people. And as soon as we can start to speak these truths, and ground them in the human experience, will call people forward to be brave and bold and take that personal responsibility that you're talking about. as a patient to be able to even, as physicians, to question what we know and how we heal and how we support, to break down that patriarchal system, that colonial system of like, this is how things are done. Maybe not, maybe we should go back to the way things used to be done. Maybe we need to go back and like learn a little bit more about, plant medicine, and get in the grass and go inside and in the forests and be one with nature, and truly like, yeah, take a day off, take a mental health day, spend some time with your kids, really being present, and fall in love, and like do the wild, bold things that, the passion inside you wants you to connect with. Be a 13-year-old again, like, yeah, follow your heart. Let your inner child play. Like, yes to all of it. That is our human experience, and it's our experience. It's our birthright to be here, to do all the things. So, Alyssa, that is like your journey through the healthcare system, but also through your own knowledge and honoring and speaking and living and walking in your truth, regardless of what we know. Really, truly, and that's in air quotes for the people that are listening on the podcast. But really, truly being able to walk the walk, even though that is into the abyss of the unknown, that is the gift. And, getting past the mind and into spirit and into that essence of, there's got to be something else. Like I just know that deep honoring. It's so beautiful. And I love you. Thank you so much for highlighting so many things. I think we could probably listen to this podcast and draw out like a million different learnings, and yeah, just so many people I'm sure can resonate. I mean, yeah, even if just fibromyalgia, chronic pain, like, all the things. I'm just like, I'm just amazed. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, and for being here, and for following your calling, and for being that light, that little what are those little, the fireflies, the little tiny fireflies you see in the dark. A little firefly. Because yeah, I just feel that this is going to bring so much hope to people who feel alone, feel misunderstood, feel forgotten, feel neglected, feel left, disregarded in the system, but also just in their life. And I think that comes full circle to the childhood story, that abandonment story, that really, that in that wound, the need to suffer, the need to be in that physical pain, to be stuck, to be, that, all of that, and to come back full circle and fully truly honor self, and honor spirit, and honor what is here to show up, even though we're not ready, even though no one might, maybe they won't believe us, maybe they'll call us crazy, but hey, let's just do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you said that, because I have, as we worked through our journey last year, through all the coaching and receiving and all the processes, and one of the sticky notes that I still have is, I believe me.
Oh,
Yeah, just I believe me.
I believe.
All you need.
Yeah, that is all we need. Truly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you
such an
so much.
honor. Such an honor.
Such an honor. This has been such a roller coaster, because I mean, such a beautiful roller coaster our life is. And yeah, synchronicity never passes me by, for sure. And I know many people who have found this podcast, and if you're listening, it won't pass you by from now on. Like, you're on the synchronicity train. Better strap up and get ready, because yeah, when we honor our authenticity, when we speak our truth, and even when we just slow down to listen to our truth, everything starts to align, and things just become like, it gets real. It gets really real, and it gets fun, and it's exciting, and it's beautiful, and it's challenging sometimes, and that's the joy in life. Alyssa, if you want to leave our audience with one call to action, what would that be? Or one takeaway?
One takeaway.
Yeah.
Trust your voice.
Mm.
The one that comes really from that deep knowing.
Mm.
Trust it, learn to love it and support it instead of what we've been taught about continually just trying to ignore it and shut it down because we want to fit in.
That's right.
Trust it and then let it speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. There is nowhere to fit in.
Mm.
And yourself is where we're meant to fit, right? That's yeah, beautiful. Thank you. As an immigrant that came to Canada at the age of 3, I have fought to fit in for a very long time. And
Yeah.
being able to go through this coaching container and recognize that the goal was actually to be fit into myself. And that what you just said resonated so deeply with my little one, my inner child.
Mhm.
And I think many, many people who are called to hear this, and just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Oh, truly beautiful.
Thank you for being here. This was everything.